Let's go. Welcome to our shiur. We are starting Be'ezras Hashem the shiur Bava Metzia, new Masechta Bava Metzia, and the Meretz Hashem. We're going to go through the entire Masechta Be'ezras Hashem in Amud, the day Sunday through Thursday, 9:25 to 10:25 every morning, or you can watch us online. So I'm sorry I don't have the page. Usually we're going to see the actual page on the screen. Today didn't work out. I hope to have that from tomorrow. In Beth Hashem, this year is dedicated Little Nishmas of Yomi and Menachem Ben Akiva, Little Nishmas Rus Bas Sholem, So Bas Moshe, Ulofuas as Tafum Bas Shoshana Malka, Besoch Shachol Yisrael. Bava Metzia. What's Bava Metzia? Bava Metzia, as you said, is the middle gate. Gate, by the way, Bava means gate, but Bava also means a stanza. Bava means a statement by a Mishnah or Brisa. That's what Bava also means, yeah? In other words, when we refer to a Bava, that means to say part of a Mishnah. The Reisha, the Sefer, they're really called Bavas. So it doesn't necessarily mean a gate, like a physical one. It means a statement, a stanza. So let's just start. Before we start the Mishnah, let's give a very small and quick introduction to the Masechta. Bava Metzia is the second Masechta in Nezikin, instead of Nezikin. At the beginning, it deals with, you're going to see what it deals with very soon, about Tfisa, about people who fight over an object. The second parak deals with lost and found, Elu Metzias. That's a parak that's traditionally studied by young children. That's the first thing you learn in Cheder. That's Elu Metzias. Then we're going to talk about Shomrim in Mafkid. Then we talk about the fourth parak is about underpricing or overpricing. I know. The fifth parak is about ribis, about interest. Later on, we have a Soicha Sa'umnin. We have about workers' rights and employees relationship. Again, we have stuff about Shomrim, and that's about it. Sounds simple. Okay, so let's go. Says the Mishnah, Shnaim oichzin batalis. Two people hold on to a garment. Talis does not necessarily mean the talis you just had on your head not so long ago in Shachris. Shnaim oichzin batalis means two people come to Beth Din. And what Beth Din can see is the scenario of two people holding for dear life, each on the other end of the talis. The Gemara will decide that we'll speak later. We'll discuss exactly where they're holding, maybe the very, very end, the fringes. But Lamaisa, both people, each one holds the talis as they enter Beth Din. They enter Beth Din, each one holding the talis, each one on each end of the garment. And what do they have to say for themselves? One of them says, I found it. The other one says, no, I found it first, and you grabbed it away from me. Yeah, and then what do they say? The Gemara will discuss what that means, but the translation is, one of them says, that's mine, and the other one says, it's mine. Yeah, we have to understand why the Mishnah talks about two things. Each one says, I found it, and then each one says, it's mine. Yeah, what's this double story over here? That will be discussed. Yeah, and so what's the halacha? Now, each one has what we call in halacha, tfisa, or muchzokus. Says Tosfos, if a person has something under his hands, yeah, we have the chazaka. Halacha believes very much that if you have something under your hands, if you hold on to something, the assumption is that it's yours, right? It's even like a proof that the thing is yours. If I come to Kollel every day with this, well, it's not actually true, I don't, but if I come every day with this nice copy, with me, and it's in my hands, even if I don't come every day, there are different types of chazakos. It's called chazaka. It's assumed that it's mine. You want to prove that it's not mine? Yeah, you have the onus of proving otherwise. But when a person holds on to something, says Tosfos, which we may see later, that's considered almost like edus, anan sahadi. We highly assume, even like edus, that this garment or this item belongs to him. The problem, obviously, is they both have muchzokos. Each one is holding on to a part of the garment, and each one claims that it's entirely his. And imagine yourself as if each one has Adim that say, this is Reuven's, and the other one has Adim saying, this is Shimon, Anan Sadi. So what do? So, would like to say that they split it, but it's not so simple. There is a step in between. What does the Dayan have to say? If you're the Dayanim, what would you say? One of them and the other one, each one has to make a very, very specific, interesting Shevua. Each one has to state and make a Shevua that Ein lo ba poches mechetzia. Each one says, I don't have in it less than a half. Yeah, I don't have in the talis less than a half. Why such an interesting shvua? And why do you need the shvua to begin with? Yeah, before the achloiku, then they split it. Each one swore, each one made a shvua. Yeah, in front of Beth Din, Sefer Torah, big shvua. Shvua is a serious thing. Each one makes a shvua that he doesn't have in it less than a half. So first of all, that shvua is only the rabbanon. Really, me'ikar adin, before Rabbanan established the Shevua, and we'll see later on why they established the Shevua is just a cream on the top. It's just not the main thing over here. The main thing here, each one has chazaka. Chazaka is a proof. So if we both have an active proof that it's ours, because what? I have my part that I'm holding, me as his, and we both claim it's all ours, we have to split because we each one in equal, it's a tie. Each one takes his half. But before we do that, Rabbanan established that there should be a shvua. I will not go into it. I'll just give you the short version. The Gemara says, "Lamaisa, not everybody's honest, yeah. And if somebody sees his friend walking down the street with his own talis, his own garment, his own nice new shiny book, whatever, then he'll grab it and say, "I'm going to take a half." The book is not going to help you to take a half. Maybe short stories. It's a nice shawl. It's a nice scarf. Yeah, you can cut it into half. It will still look nice. Yeah, if people will abuse the fact that if I come to Beth Din holding it, Beth Din will assume it's mine. People may start abuse that halacha, and therefore Chachami made an establishment that you have to be nishba as a deterrent, because some people say that even a person who's a thief, when he's coming to be nishba, they will scare him. Yeah, in other words, many people may not be so honest with money and say, he found it. Well, easy come, easy go. He found it. So I'll also grab half. I found it after him, ha ha ha. But to swear, to nishba l'sheker, they would deter him, they would scare him off. So they established the shvua. But the shvua is only the cream on top. The real ikar din, the fact that each one has mchzakus here, has chazaka, that does the trick, and we say that you should split it. But the shvua is one stage before that. That is the beginning of the Mishnah, and it will all be discussed at length. We're going to have a good few dapim to explain that. Now, continues the Mishnah into a second story. And by the way, you know what? No, let's read Rashi. In this year, as I warned people, we don't look at most Rashi and Tosfos. I do want to look at the first Rashi. It's one of the most classical Rashis in Shas. Look at the first Rashi in the page. Says Rashi, Davka oichzin. Only if they hold on to it, the shnei muchzokim bo, ve'ein lezeh koach ba yoiser mizeh. Yeah, none of them has more koach, more power over it than the other. We're ties, we're equals. Let's say it would have been in the hands of one person, and when they came to Beth Din, Reuven is holding it, and Shimon is screaming his head off, Reuven, you stole it from me, but Reuven is the one holding it. Avi Idach, the other one, Shimon, the screamer who screams at Reuven, who's holding it, what would be his status? Oh, the classical line, it would be moitzim chavero. If one is holding it and the other one wants claims against it, he's in a huge disadvantage, the one who wants to take it out. He wants to change the situation and take it out of Muchdokus. The olive lahavi raya, the edim shehi shaloi. A moitzim chaver levaraya is only through edim. The only way, says Rashi, to prove your point and take out possessions out of your friend's pocket, claiming it's yours, it will only be yours if you bring edim to kosher Jews, the best edim money can buy. Edim shehi shaloi. The eno neman ze litoil b'shvua. Says Rashi, don't think that the shvua here is what takes the talis from the other guy's hand. Because when I hold and you hold, if you look at it in a very unilateral way, yeah, Reuven can say, Shimon is taking it away from me. I'm holding it. It's true that Shimon is holding also, yeah. But Shimon, we're looking at one side, maybe Reuven is muchzak, and Shimon, who wants to take out of Reuven, can take it out of his hands because of the shvua. Says Rashi, no, don't make that mistake. The shvua is not a way to take out money out of your friend's pocket. Yeah. So what's the shvua doing here? I told you already. The shvua is only an extra barrier before they actually actualize the chazaka, the muchzokus. The shvua is not the reason why Reuven can take out of the hands of Shimon. If Reuven is the one holding it fully, Shimon wants to take it out, it's an uneven ground. Shvua would not help over there, only a two edim. Okay. Now, by the way, the Rosh says over here, excuse me, if they found it in the street, if I was a dayan, I would say, guys, Reuven and Shimon, stop fighting. Children, stop fighting. I'm not going to give you a candy. I would tell them what? Give it back to the owner. Yeah, put a notice online. Put a notice on the tree, notice, and say we found the talis. Says the Rosh, we're talking over here, Be'ir Shehu B'Knainim. We're talking about a city where most people are not Jewish. Yeah, they found it in Tokyo. That's where they found it. I don't think most people in Tokyo are Jewish. I think, as far as I know, and therefore, if they found it over there, they have no chiyuv to give it back to anybody. I'm not going into all the issues. If it's mahudar to give the aveda to a goy or not, but that's actually the story here. There's no chiyuv to give. Therefore, they're the ones who are actually at loggerheads with each other. Let's continue to the second case. Ze omer kula sheli, v'ze omer chetzia sheli. One of them says, this is completely mine, this is fully mine, this is all mine, mine. And the other one says, let's call him Shimon, he says, chetzia sheli, it's half mine, half of it is mine. Half of it is mine. In other words, maybe he says, we picked it up together, and therefore half is yours, half is mine. You're being super possessive, you're lying, you're saying it's all yours. No, half of it is mine. So what do? Basically, they're only fighting over what? One half of the talis. I want you all, because we don't have charts today, imagine yourself the talis is one big square or rectangle, and it's divided, like a perforated line into two parts, right? There's kind of an imaginary line in the middle of the talis. One half of the talis, they're not discussing. We all agree that it belongs to Reuven. Reuven it belongs to him, yeah, and even Shimon agrees, right? Reuven and Shimon only argue about the second half, yeah, is the second half Reuven's or Shimon's? That's where it really comes out. So now, what do? Similar, but with different numbers. It's the same concept with different numbers. Now, so what do we say? The one who says it's all mine should make a Shevua that he doesn't have less than Shlosha Chalokim. That he has in it, but in a very funny way of Shevua, 3/4. One half is for sure nobody argues about, and the quarter is what they argue about. Yeah, the half plus a quarter, they all belong to me. The one who says half of it is mine, he should make a shvua that he doesn't have in it less than a quarter, that he has in it at least a quarter. And what's going to happen then? One would take 3/4, half, which is indisputable, plus a quarter. Half and a quarter is 3/4, yeah? The other one would take a quarter. Of course, we have a few questions here. First of all, unless you want to give me a good math lesson, what's the chiddush, right? In other words, it's just the same concept in different numbers. Or you can actually ask just the other way around. There is a chiddush here. What's the chiddush? My question is, which is also the question of the Rishonim, is why is it that he has the Mr. Reuven, who everyone knows owns half, right? There's one half here. Again, in your mind, you have one half of that talis, which is indisputable. Yeah, let's say there's the blue part and the red part. Nobody's moving. 1 second. 1 minute, please. Okay. So, lat. Imagine yourself the talis has two parts. Yeah, the talis has a blue half and a red half, right? The blue half, everyone agrees, belongs to Reuven, right? Yes, they all belong. If Shimon says half, if the blue is mine, the entire blue part is mine, he's also saying that the red belongs to Reuven. If Shimon says, I'm sorry, that the blue belongs to me, then the red, everyone agrees. Let's say the red is indisputable. The red, everyone agrees, belongs to Reuven. Red Reuven, right? Again, let's repeat. If they all agree that the half that's red, let's say, and the half is blue, the half that is red, everyone agrees belongs to Reuven. Why? Because Reuven says it's all mine. Of course, he agrees, yeah? And even Shimon says the blue half is mine. So everyone agrees that the red part belongs to Reuven. Yes, they do. So they only fight over the blue part. And that's why they're going to get, they're going to end up with 3/4 versus a quarter, which is half of the blue, which is a quarter of the entire thing. Okay? My question, the Rosh's question, Mele me, who am I? But the Rosh asks the question, why does he have to be nishba on what? Why does he have to be nishba on the 3/4? Be nishba on a quarter, not on 3/4, because half of that 3/4 2/4, which is a half, is not indisputable anyways. Says the Rosh, because that guy may be a swindler, of course, maybe he's a liar. And then when you make him do a Shevua, then he'll have in his mind, although the Rosh doesn't speak it out, but I think others do, he would say, you know which quarter I mean? The other quarter. Meaning, I'm Nishba, that the quarter is mine, not the one that's being disputed. I'm Nishba, that I have a quarter in the indisputable part. I tricked the system. In his mind, he's going to put the Nishba on something that Shimon agrees to. I frag the Rosh, can you play such a trick? Anyhow, he's only Nishba on what the Dayanim want him to be Nishba. Says the Rosh, no. When a person is Nishba and the Dayan feels he may be a liar, he has to make him swear very, very clearly, Berachel Bitchaktana, hook, line, and sinker, with all the dotted lines and all the I's and all the dots and everything, because to avoid the person, to avoid a situation where the person can just lie and say, I meant this, I meant that, and he's going to quiet his conscience to be Nishba l'sheker. That's why it's to be Nishba very clearly, 3/4 are mine, 3/4 are mine, or at least, as we'll explain later the Lashon, 3/4 are mine. So this way, there's no way for him to, move around, to maneuver and say one thing and mean the other. Moed b'miktzas, my friend, is only when you approach your friend and you blame him, you accuse them, and then he replies with Moed b'miktzas. The Gemara will discuss Moed b'miktzas though, so please let the Gemara talk later. One of the major places Moed b'miktzas is in Daf Gimel. It's one of the great sources of this in the Kol Torah Kula. Okay, so now I just want to add one more thing before continuing the Mishnah. Why is the Lashon so strange? Why is it that really says, I swear I'm Nishba, that I don't have in it less than, let's say in the first case, the simple case, half, right? Half. So what do we say? You should make a Shevua that you don't have in it less than a half. What does it mean? Says the Gemara like this. It's a Gemara later, but I'm being nice to you. I'm telling you the Gemara now. Rashi doesn't say it yet. The Gemara says as follows. What do you want him to make a Shevua? To make a Shevua, it's entirely mine. That's not good, because we know he's not going to get the entire thing. So if the person is Nishba, I hereby Nishba, I swear that it's fully mine, and then we'll give him half, for many reasons, the Gemara, the Rishon will explain, it's not good. He has to be Nishba on something that at least sounds like potentially the truth, right? And he'll get half, because he will only get half, right? So he can't be Nishba, I am Nishba everything, then Beth Din all gives him half. It's as if Beth Din don't believe him, or Beth Din is dysfunctional. There's a machlokes, but there's no consistency between what he's Nishba and what he's getting. I maybe should be Nishba that half is his. That's also not true, because in his claim, everything is his. We're trying to find a Lashon, I don't have in it less than a half, which means I may have 0. Maybe I'm a liar, but that's that we'll leave that aside for now, actually. I don't want to go down that lane. But Lamaisa, he makes such a Shevua where the Lashon is very good for both his claim and what Beth Din are going to give him. I don't have in it less than half, which means I may have more. That's what I say, the entire half. I don't have in it less than half. Less than half, that's for sure not. And that is, maybe I have at least 50%, which means I think it's 100%. But those 3 people, the Dayanim, they don't understand me, and they'll only give me half. So I'm saying I don't have in it less than a half. Again, I'm jumping the gun a little bit because the Gemara will discuss it. I just wanted to give you the time of the Gemara. Questions are welcome when we finish the Mishnah. Okay? Now, we are still, Baruch Hashem, in a free country. There are questions, but at the end of the Mishnah. Now, continues the Mishnah to another case. Wow, watch that. 2 people come into Beth Din and they're riding on a donkey. Their name is Yankee Doodle. And Shnara on a pony. 2 people ride on an animal. One of them is roichev, one of them is riding ve'echad manig. The other one is leading it, with a rope on the neck. He leads the animal. And each one says the behemoth is entirely mine. It's my behemoth completely. Each one should swear that he doesn't have in it less than a half. I have in it at least 50%. Each one should make the shvua. They split the behemoth. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, the chamor goes to him. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the chamor goes to the other one. They split the donkey, or they split the cow and the shechtit, whatever. What's the chiddush over here? Rashi says the chiddush over here is that roichev kimanig. The fact that one of them is riding it and the other one is leading it, both actions are considered as kinyan and the chazaka. They're both considered to show that I'm the owner. In other words, don't tell me that, maybe Manig is more than a Roichev or otherwise. Maybe the one riding is more than the one schlepping it, like a Cheshverosh, like a Haman and Mordechai. Yeah, no, each one is equally considered as holding onto the donkey, whether it's by riding or by holding. Again, every line we say here will be discussed extensively in the Mishnah. Now we come to a very interesting line at the end. Bisman shehem moidim. Let's say they both admit. What do they admit? At some point they broke, and they did not make a shvua, and they admitted that they picked it up together. Let's say, in other words, originally Reuven said it's all mine. I picked it alone. Shimon said, "Ma pitom, I was the first one." Eventually they broke and they said, no, they both said, Reuven and Shimon both said, no, we picked it together. Yeah, we were together. 1, 2, 3, boom. We saw that beautiful garment on the floor, this beautiful silk scarf, and we picked it up together. So they admitted to each other. Oy sheyesh lehem eidim, or they have eidim. Yesh lehem eidim means, according to the Rashash, there are lots of explanations here that gets quite crazy with many different explanations. I chose one explanation. The Rashash says Yesh lehem eidim. You know what happened before they took Shvua? Reuven had 2 eidim that he picked it up first, and Shimon had 2 eidim that he picked it up first. It gets worse, yeah? It's like in these, card games, it gets higher and higher. Reuven has 2 eidim to support him, and Shimon has 2 eidim to support him. What do you do then? Then says the Mishnah, then they split it without the necessity for Shvua. Case number 1, they both admit that they picked it up together, then they split it and they don't have to take a Shvua. Everyone here wants to scream, what's the Chiddush? If they both agree. No, they didn't agree. Originally, they were fighting and were concerned there's a liar. We want to deter the liar. That's a classical case. Here, they both admitted. The Gemara Daf Ches is going to ask, and I'm not going to tell you the answer now. It's an entire page. The Gemara is going to say, what do you mean? Obviously. The Gemara is not going to ask Pshita, the Gemara is someone else, but obviously the question is, if they both agree, well, there's a Sesame Street, they picked it up together, so they both split it. What's the Chiddush? Yeah, Avada. That's obviously a question which will be discussed, and we're not going there now. The Rashash, about the second case, the Eidim says a Chiddush. When Reuven has 2 Eidim and Shimon has 2 Eidim, it gets hotter, it gets worse. So why do you say that it can split without Shvua? Yeah, why do they split without Shvua? Says Rashash, the fact that he has Eidim and the other one has Eidim, no, maybe that's the reason for each one to prove his point, right? I don't need a Shvua. I have Eidim, it's better than Shvua, right? If I have Eidim on my side and he has Eidim on his side, no, so each one has a higher level. Eidim are much more than Shvua. So that's why they split. The Rashash asks the question, if both sides of Eidim, Reuven has 2 Eidim and Shimon has 2 Eidim, they're called Eidim what? Eidim Azimim? No. Eidim Mukchoshim. They're denying each other, and so those Eidim are, they mitkazez, they balance out each other. So again, you don't have Eidim, so what were you marviach? So let them, yes, be nishba, and their Eidim are both deleted. Says the Rashash, no, because, he says, very interesting, because this Shvua is only the Rabbanon, it's not a real Shvua d'oraisa. The whole Shvua, and the Bapochas Mechetzia, is only to deter the liar, mid the Rabbanon, v'chulei. In case that there are Eidim, we do give them some value, enough that Rabbanan gave up on the Shvua. And he says it's also very rare to really say that both sides found false Eidim, they were really interrogated in Beth Din. So because this is Shvua the Rabbanan says in case you have 2 Eidim, even though they would usually outnumber each other and cancel out each other, here they don't, we don't believe them. In other words, at the end of the day, we give up on the Shvua. In this case, we say if you have Eidim, they have some value, that Rabbanon, who had that extra Shvua, give up on their Shvua and say, you know what, you don't have to be Nishba, and we sort of do listen to your Eidim, because Lamaisi, you should realize the splitting would happen anyways, right? Before the Takona of Shvua, anyhow Reuven and Shimon would split it, right? The Eidim are good enough to cancel out the need for Shvua, and we're back to square one. Before they establish the Shvua, each one takes half. That's what the Eidim do. The Kilu outdo the need for Shvua, and that's what we say. End of Mishnah, and hope tomorrow to have the page nicely on. Yeah. Who's a Roiv?
Okay, so it could be here, lots of goyim. But obviously, if there are Jews that are that many Jews that are to be able to behave, then obviously there's
majority are.
It's the area where
I'm sorry.
the Jews.
Oh, love you.
Why can't they put it?
It's Tokyo, and there's Chabad Shliach and the Chabad other Shliach. The other one is two tourists, two Breslov Hasidim from Brooklyn. Please. It's mostly Goyim, and they found 4 people. It's mostly Goyim, and there are 4 Jews. Look under Chicago, Philadelphia, I don't know where. What? 6 Jews. And there are 10 million people in town. So 10 million is more than 6, I think. I don't know if I'm recorded or not. Okay, if I'm recorded, this year is very. I'm listening. Would
be lying on the ground because they're not going to sit there and walk in the basement, each holding the garment. One's going to take them.
Let's start the Gemara now. Says the Gemara. The Gemara is bothered by one thing. Lama li lemitna ze oimer ani metzaasiya, v'ze oimer ani metzaasiya, ze oimer kula shali, v'ze oimer kula shali. The question is, why the double story? The Gemara in the Havamina understands, here the whole reading of the Gemara is very tricky. The Gemara first understood that it's the same case of 2 people who found an object in the street. The question is who found it first and who took it from the other one. Who was naive enough to, And then the Gemara is asking a question, why are you portraying 2 cases? In one case, it's Reuven and Shimon, and they say, what do they say? Ani metzosia, I found it. In the second case, it's Yosef and Binyamin, and they say it's all mine. Why kilo? These are 2 examples, 2 kilo scenarios of the same story of 2 people fighting over Metzia. Why do you actually have to bring 2 examples? The Mishnah is not some, chat, internet site. The Mishnah is a Mishnah. Litni, let us teach us. Litni, chada, let us learn one case. Learn one of the 2. Either they said Metzasia, I found it, or they said it's mine. Obviously, because I found it. Why do you have to portray 2 stories? Answers the Gemara, Chaduktani. No, you misunderstood. It is one case. It's all one long statement made by Reuven and one long statement that has 2 parts to it by Shimon, which means that we are rereading the Mishnah now. We're going to do it a lot now. Ze oimer ni metzasia, and therefore v'kula shali. Right? Both statements are mentioned by one guy. I found it, therefore it's mine. The other one says, I found it first, I picked it, I found it, and therefore it's mine. Again, the question is, that's 2 verbose. The Mishnah is Nishka newspaper, right? The Mishnah is the Mishnah. And again, begs the question, Velitni, why can't you be shorter and say, Velitni ani metzasia? Why can't the Mishnah say, I found it? Obviously, I found it first. I'm the one who found it. The ano yodana, and I, the reader, I now means I, the reader of the Mishnah, yodana, I would know the kula shali. Obviously, if he says I found it, he's in Beth Din. He's not telling, he's not coming back home after a hard day in the office, sharing his experiences with his wife. Darling, I found. He's saying, I found it. He's saying to the other guy, which means it's mine. So why do we have to speak out that he says, I found it, and therefore it's mine? Obviously, if he found it, it's his, right? Why do you have to speak out the second part of the sentence? Answers the Gemara. Now we come to Halacha. So it says, by the way, guys, let's stop. When a person finds something, let's say you find something in the street and you want to be the owner. You're in Tokyo, you're in, Oshkosh, most people are going. And then what? And then you want to be the one and only owner. What do you do halachically? Kinyan is a nice word. What kind of kinyan do you suggest? It's not a ganav. Lift it up, you get hagbe and glila. You lift it up, very good. Answers the Gemara based on what you guys just said. Tana, it says the Gemara no. Itana ani metzasia. Line starts with the word metzasia in the middle of the page, more or less. Itana ani metzasia. If the Mishnah would have quoted, so to speak, the person saying, I found it, Hava Amina, I would have thought, me, the lay reader, I would have thought, my metzasia re'isia. I would have thought that when a person says metzasia, he means to say, I saw it first. I'm impressed by your level, Baruch Hashem, everybody who knows that Kinyan Agba. Not everyone is such big Talmidei Chachamim. maybe the speaker in the Mishnah, Mr. Imaginary Reuben of the Mishnah, when he says Metzasia means I saw it first before you, and he thinks that it's good enough, and I, the reader, would also think that it's good enough to just see it, and maybe there's a kinyan habato, maybe looking at it first would be the first kinyan. Af al gav the loyasoy liyode, even though it did not reach his hands by hagba beria be'alma kani. I would have thought if the lashon of the Mishnah would have been ani mitzasia, I'm a lay person, I'm a lay reader, I'm trying to learn halacha from the Mishnah, through the Mishnah, and I would say, look, it says in the Mishnah mitzasia, and maybe mitzasia means what? I saw it first. If I saw it first, it's really mine. And maybe looking at an object, and clearly I can even tell my friends, I saw it first. You know what? When I was 10 years old, and even 12 years old, and maybe even 13, that's what we thought in Cheder. We thought whoever sees it first is the one who's, So maybe maybe that's the halacha. If you only use the word mitzasia, which is like the balabatisha term, as we'll see soon, for finding. Can you please, thank you, please stop the video. Thank you. Answers the Gemara, no. Therefore we say, Tana, Kula Shali. That's why we say Kula Shali. We have an extra line. Kula Shali, the Beri'iyah Loikoni. That's why the Mishnah said no. The Mishnah said Ani Metzasia, and it's not just that I found it / I saw it. I'm adding, says the imaginary plaintiff in Beth Din, and also it's mine. What do you mean it's mine? Something extra happened here. What's extra besides Re'iyah? Here everybody knows, probably you need a proper kinyan. The extra word Kula Shali denotes there's something more than the basic Metzia, like a child thinks Metzia is really seeing. Metzasia and Kula Shali. Something else happened, an extra dose of something happened, and that is what? That must be by default Agbo. Because we are aware, by the way, as readers, that there's kinyan Agbo. It's a Mishnah in Kiddushin, it's a Mishnah in other places, but we would have thought maybe looking is also called a kinyan. We come to outdo that kind of thought process. Correct the Gemara now, okay, that's what you're coming to exclude, you're coming to be loitzi, you're coming to rule out that matzasia, that the word matzasia, which means looking, is not a kinyan. Who told you matzasia means looking? You're assuming things. How do you know that matzasi, bahalacha, in Hebrew, in Old Hebrew, in halachic Hebrew, that matzasi means to see? How do you know? Look at the Gemara's question. Umi matzis omart my matzasia reisia? Can you really say that matzasi, I found, means I saw? That's how we halachically translate it in a dictionary, in a lexicon. Is that how it works? I'll prove you wrong. Here we're having a glimpse of the second parak, the fun parak is the second parak. We're going to have a glimpse now. The Omar of Noi, or Ravina. Now, back to halachas of kinyan, of Ashovas Aveda. It says in the Torah, umetzaosa, if you found the object, and the drosha that we say about finding the object is the asoi liyodei mashma. When it says metzaosa, you found it, says the drosha, the halachic translation. The halachic translation of the Torah is, you found it means you have it in your hands after Agbo. Regarding what does it say? It says Rashi, and by the way, we saw it recently in Bava Kama. Rashi says like this. Let's say you have the Aveda of, our good friend Tim McKenzie. Oh, you see a baseball cap in the street with a baseball bat, and it says TM. It seems a thing, yeah? Now he's away, he's not so close to you. Now, what do we say? Me'ikar adin, Kiddush Hashem, Me'ikar adin. You don't have to return to Mackenzie, or not even Tom McKinley, or John Smith. You don't have to return to them their what? Their lost object, okay? So now, I'm just going into the details of that drasha. Maybe it means to say that if I see it lying in the street, I can just leave it there. I don't have to start, the big headache. You found that you see a lost object in the street, it's a big headache for you. You have to pick it up, start looking all over, Bet Shemesh has, 150,000 people. It's not an easy thing, right? So maybe you'd say, if you find it and you don't have to give it to a guy, it means what? That if I did not yet pick it up, I can just go home, go to learn my shiur, go and drink my coffee. I don't have to bother myself with that. Says the drasha, no. Also, even if you picked up the baseball bat and the baseball cap and the baseball cup and everything, and you have it in your house and you have it after Hagbah, you still don't have to return it. That would be nice, but you don't have to return it to him. Why? Because it says Metza also, which means picking up. No, Teropermise is wrong. you're telling me if the Mishnah said matzasi, I would automatically connect it. Matzasi means I saw it. No. The Hilchas Shabbos Aveda says matzasi means it's picked up by me. Look, here's the baseball cap. Answers the Gemara, listen. When the people of the Mishnah, both speakers, the imaginary protagonists of the Mishnah and the readers are not such Talmidei Chachamim. Says the Gemara, you're right. Mitzvah dikro, mitzvah of the pasuk, the halachic word mitzvah mentioned in the Teire, that the osa liyodi mashma means came to his hands like ba'agbo. Ba to me, however, our Tana talks as he quotes the men in the street, Tom, Dick, and Harry, Reuben, Shimon, and Levi. Lishna de alma nokat. The Mishnah uses slang language. The Lishna de alma, the lotion of the Welt of the people. Once he saw it, Omar, he says, Ano ashkechis. The way people talk is like children. The way he saw it first, although Shimon maybe is one who picks it up first, but he saw it first, Reuben, and in his jargon, in his language, that's called finding first, yeah? The Afal Gav the law saw it, and even though it did not yet reach his hands at all, didn't even touch it, he saw it first. Beria be'alma kani. If the Mishnah would have really omitted the line Kula Shali, and the Mishnah would have said Ani mitzasiya, which I, the reader, know that that's how people talk. I know it's not the halacha. Everybody in the world talks like halacha. Halavai. It's not the Metzias. The Mishnah is realistic. Since people say mitzasiya / reisiya, and if the Mishnah would have said, oh, Chetzi, yeah, let's go ahead with his beautiful statement and claim. Oh, yeah. Make a Shevua and take it home, half of it or 3/4 of it. Oh, wow. I, the reader, would have thought that Re'iyah, Habata, is really a Kinyan. Don't think it's so fine because Tosfos discusses, it's a very short Tosfos here, and Tosfos says that later, at the very end of the Masechta, we have such a tzad to say that looking is Kinyan. And Tosfos says it's not really Kinyan. There we talk about the case that you also did something physical, like you circled it with a fence. But it's not such a foolish thing to say, Chas v'shalom, to have him of the Gemara, to say the looking first and claiming, hey, I saw it first. I had my eyes on it first. There's a lot of intelligent people out there. They would tell you that's Kinyan. Kamash Malan, that's not a Kinyan. That's what the Gemara comes to up to this point. Tani Kula Shali comes to tell me an extra line, the Beria Be'alma Loi Koni Lo. He's not koina by just looking, and that's why we add a line Kula Shali. What does Kula Shali mean? I did something more than just looking, which by default must be a regular good old Kinyan, which we all know, which is a Gbo, Baruch Hashem. So that's up to now. Right, the Gemara asks a question, and you also have a question. I'm listening to your question. Continue, and the Tosfos. Back the Gemara. Now the Gemara is asking, obviously, the inevitable question. We have double ocean. Ani mitzasiya, right? Vekula shali. Ani mitzasiya alone would be completely misleading, very terribly misleading. Mitzasiya is a dangerous word. It means to see. No. Seeing no. Kula shali. Now, what's the obvious question? Now, for the Gemara, we are a few lines before the end of the Amud. Line starts with the word loy koni lo. For the Gemara, velitni kula shali velo ba'ani mitzasiya. Okay. If kula shali means it's all mine, stronger than I saw it, then you can skip the I saw it business, right? So just mention the heavy gun. If you tell me the small gun is misleading, thank you. So just mention kula shali. Kula shali is a stronger lotion. It means what? It means it's completely mine. Halachically, agba glila, the whole thing in Mashiach. No. So you can skip what? Skip mitzasiya, which is reisiya, right? And says the Gemara, no. You sometimes have to say the wrong word in order to teach me that this is wrong. Explains the Gemara. Itani kula shali, had the Gemara mentioned only kula shali, had the Gemara mentioned only kula shali, okay? Itani kula shali, havamina, I would have thought, the alma diktani mitzasiya. Let's say the Mishnah would have just omitted mitzasiya. The Gemara doesn't say the wrong word, the bad word mitzasiya. You know what would have happened to me? I really would have stayed with my mistake. And another Gemara, another Mishnah, another Braysa, be'alma, in a different place, diktani mitzasiya, and let's say in a different place would have said the word mitzasiya, be'riya be'alma kani. I would have still thought that seeing is koine. Get it? I would have still stayed with my mistake because the Mishnah never spoke about it, right? Tana, that's why the Mishnah mentions it and outsmarts it. Tana, Nimitzasia, the Hadar. What's Hadar? Later on, Tana, Kula Shali. It says, I saw it. Not good enough. You also have to say, Mr. Litigant, what? Kula Shali. Yeah? The Mishnah Yasera, the fact we have redundant words here called Kula Shali, although Animitziasia was mentioned, it is not good enough. It has to be mentioned and being deleted. Yeah, Ashmeina the real loikani. From here we see the real alone is not koina. But if you just diplomatically not mention the M word mitzasia, then people would think later on the mitzasia means to really do a kinyan. By mitzia is a kinyan, by seeing that seeing is a kinyan. We have to mention it and still mention another thing to say mitzasia / reisia is not good enough. By the way, the Rambam says, I mean, it's not hashkafa shiur, but I'd like to bring some hashkafa. And that is, the Rambam says, why is it that you have so many opinions mentioned in the Mishnah? Wouldn't it be easier for us if only the Maskana would be mentioned? The Rambam in the Akdama to the Mishnah, it's a Rambam, maybe also Shmona Prokim, and one of the three great chiburim of the Rambam on how Tersh Balpeh functions, the Rambam says, why do we mention the opinion of the Shammai? Why mention Rabbi Lezer? Why mention whoever, Rabbi Yosef Bida, when Halacha is not like them? Don't mention them and finish. Says the Rambam, no, because they all had tremendous, amazing, good svaras. Somebody would come in future and would be a big chacham and would say, I don't think the rabbis were right, because I think that the sukkah above 20 amos is really good enough and very impressive. And in my community, we will build a sukkah above 20 because I have a very good svara against chachamim. That's why we say, no, we have to tell him, mister, we already thought about it. Get it? We mentioned the opinion that was rejected, so we have the whole array of opinions, including the rejected ones, so people will know, no, that opinion exists and it was rejected. But if you just silently, diplomatically ignore it, then the people are not prepared for that opinion, how to face it, if they think of it themselves. And the same is true about the chinuch nowadays, but I'm not going to stand on my soapbox right now. Okay, it's not always good to avoid all information from your children. Sometimes you have to tell them that it's wrong. Yes, you still have time for questions, a little bit. Weiter. Okay. One more piece of Gemara and then the Tosfos. Frag the Gemara, Umi matzis omart chada ktani. The Gemara is now, up until now, what did we understand? It's one long story. They found the object and they're just being verbose. And we also mention every word they say, the litigants. The story is one story. It's one Reuven, one Shimon, Hashem Echad, one Reuven, one Shimon, one talis, one case, and they said two sentences. I Metzosia, Ve Kula Shali. Why? We already know why. Something in the syntax doesn't work right. Umi Matzis Omar, can you say Chada Ktani? Can you really say that it's all one long sentence? Grammatically, it doesn't work right. The Ze Ktani, the word Ze is mentioned twice, and that breaks the sentence into two sentences. And the Gemara says, Ze Omer Ni Metzosia, Ze Omer Ni Metzosia. This is Reuven, that is Shimon, okay. And then Ze Omer Kula Shalim, the new statement. It says Reuven says Metzosia, Shimon says Metzosia, and then it says Reuven says Kula Shali, Shimon says Kula Shali. Sounds like a different story. It doesn't say like you said, Ani Metzosia, and therefore Kula Shali, one long smooth sentence. No, it's mentioned as two separate sentences. So I don't like your whole reading of the Mishnah. This is all one long line. It came to teach me this and came to teach me that. Answers the Omar of Pope answers the Gemara. Now we have complete changeover of the entire Mishnah. Here comes fun, which most of it we'll discuss tomorrow. Omar of Pope, the Temer of Shimi Bar Ashi. Either of Pope gives us the following explanation, or of Shimi Bar Ashi, the Amri Lo Kidi. You know who's Kidi? Kidi means anonymous. That's Rashi in different places, and also it's a Marshal over here. Amri Lo Kidi. It's an anonymous opinion mentioned in the Besmedrash. And what do they say? There are really two completely different cases here in the Mishnah. Reisha b'metzia, v'seifa b'mekach u'memkar. Wow. The Reisha spoke about I found it versus I found it. We claim, each one claims I found it first and I'm the only one who picked it up. And what happened next? That schwindler, liar, never got good education. This guy picked it, snatched it from me. Case one. Case number two, they both claim to have bought it from the same guy. Both Reuven and Shimon claim that they gave money to Levi. And they both claim that Levi was the one who told them with a big smile. Each one says only him, of course. Reuben says, this garment, I went to Levi's jeans, to Levi's store, and Levi sold me the garment, and I paid him. It was only me. And Shimon says, no, Levi sold it to me. And that's going to be a whole story how such a thing can happen. And now Levi himself is a good question. You can ask Levi, Mr. Levi, did you sell it to Reuben or to Shimon? Well, unfortunately, either he doesn't remember or we don't believe him he remembers. And they both gave money to Levi. One of them gave it by force. One of them gave it be'emes. There's one real buyer. There's one who want to force out a sale, in a way that Levi never wanted to, right? Levi never agreed. We'll discuss it more later. But the answer, we have two cases here. One, Metzia. Each one claims he found it. He's the only one who found it first, and the other was a Ganev. The other one said, I'm the one who bought it legally. We're not forcing Levi. Levi and I are good friends. I bought the garment from Levi. And what? And now you came, you said, you bought it from Levi. Who says that? Both Reuben and Shimon. And Levi knows that he got money from both. And Levi knows that one of them was the real buyer. One of them was not the real buyer, but he doesn't remember who. Maybe it was a long time. I don't want to say a long time ago, because now what the Gemara says, that will be tomorrow's material. Now, I do want to continue. No, I'm very tempted to continue weiter in the Gemara. You know, I like to run, but I will not do this to you. What you have to see now together for the next 5 minutes or more, we have to see now the Tosfos. There is a Tosfos here that is a very classical, amazing Tosfos, which we all have to know when we start the Masechta of Nezikin. It is the second Tosfos in the page. We're not going to read all of it inside. We'll read some of it inside, and I also will explain to you about that. And I even made a chart. I made a summary of the Tosfos. I have a chart. I made a summary of the Tosfos to be emailed today to all interested people. Says Tosfos, ve'yachloiku. What did we say? Split it. I found a thing in English, swear and split. You know, Shevua and Chalukah. Swear and split, that's a solution over here. Tosfos asks the question. The Mishnah, why is it different? The Alba. Why is it different in the case of the boat? There's a boat that is anchored, that is moored in the port, in the pier, whatever. The Omar over there, what's the story? It's in Bava Metzia, everybody remembers it. Reuben and Shimon fight. Each one says, that boat that's moored over there on the other side of town is mine. Or they say, it used to be already from my forefather. It's my Zayd's heilige boat. He came with it from Poland to America, himself. And each one says, it is my boat, my boat. What do we say then? Call the Olim Gvar. We say the stronger one gets it first. Whoever manages to climb on the boat first and make a kinyan. So it's not a final kinyan, it's his, until another person, or unless another person brings the Eidim, that it's his. But we'll let them deal with it themselves. Of course, you can ask the question, why do we let them take the law into their hands? We can explain that too. But the law over there, the halacha over there says, you guys fight it out. Whoever is going to be stronger to hold the boat first will have the chazaka. The other one will be moitze mechaber lo varaya. Or the Rosh says, call the olim, whoever is going to sound, you keep fighting in Beth Din verbally and nicely, white collar, and what? Whoever sounds more plausible to Beth Din, whoever sounds better, whoever cries harder, whoever is more moister nafshoy, we assume he's not the liar. Person who's really, it's his boat, it's his parnos, it's his date, it's his rare inheritance, will fight harder and better than the schwindler who wants to make a quick buck. That's a very interesting solution. Tosfos says, why is it different over here? Why over here don't we say, you guys are fighting, come on, says the Dayanim, why can't they say them? We have harder cases. We have now an Aguna. We have to kasher the entire Yerushalayim. Fight it with you. Whoever's going to hold it first should take the talis to himself. Why can't we just let them fight it out or let them deal with themselves? Skipping just that, the oichzin shiny. There's a huge difference between what? Holding onto the garment and that boat. That's why I mentioned so much. It's on the other side of town, in the moor, in the port. It's over there, and nobody's holding it. It's absolutely two sides of the spectrum. It says Tosfos, oichzin shiny. The choshev is considered kilu kol echad yesh lo bo bevadai achetzi. Wow. Fundamental. It's considered as if each one for sure has half of it. And we are basing and we see it. You can't neglect it and say you deal with it yourselves. Says Tosfos even more. The Anan Sahadi, what's Anan Sahadi? It's as if we are witnesses, testify, the Maide Tofis Haidi Dehu. We testify, so to speak, that belongs to him, whatever he holds is his. It's a proof that it's his. Says the Maharam, if you now tell Reuven and Shimon fight it out, and we know, it's as if we know Reuven holds them to a half. Yeah, we know the Reuven is holding into a half. We can't say whoever holds it. No, we're allowing Shimon to be the stronger guy. Shimon has been to the gym all his life, and Reuven, that's really jungle. Happy Tom. Can Shimon or Reuven snatch it from the other side? Well, we know, or it's almost as if we know that each one holds it. No way. If the case already it came to our door with a proof, we can't go back to the jungle. But She'enkin over there, in the case of Kol Dalim Dvar, who said it belongs to any of you? Reuven says it's mine, and Shimon says it's mine, and I say my name is Joe Biden. Hopefully not, actually. Yeah. So then what? Mazel didn't have to go to Yerushalayim yesterday. Don't go to Yerushalayim today. Yeah. In other words, you guys invented the case. You have no raya, no edim, no tfisa. You are living in your own world of tinus with no proof. Deal with it. Deal with it. The case never even started to become halachic enough for Beth Din to deal with, because there is nothing yet happening. Adrabah, one should be a toifes. At least somebody should enjoy it. What do you mean jungle? Machpatli. We never got out of the jungle yet. We're still in a matzav of nobody has a proof over nobody. Imela, whoever has more rayas, whoever has more strength should take it for now. And the other one should be the one screaming and let him bring Edim. What did we see in the end of Bava Kama? Can the person who's holding the boat, can he sail with the boat to somewhere else and give it to somebody else, or can he give it to a moiser, not to a moiser? Can be moiser and give it to the tax authorities, and that's a black hole. You'll never see it back from the tax authorities. No, the one who's holding the boat should hold it, but the other side should always be able still to bring proof that it's his, right? So it's not completely, obviously not unfair over here. Continues Tosfos. Okay, I'll continue outside. We don't have much time, and it gets a little bit more wordy over here. Tosfos now presents a third case. We will see, hopefully, in 2 shiurim from now, we're going to see a case of what we call today like an escrow account, or actually it could be any shared bank account. Yeah, let's say Reuven and Shimon both have Levi, the banker, as their banker, the trusted banker. Okay, he's trustworthy, even though he's a banker. Yeah. Now Reuven and Shimon, one who deposited how much? Well, Levi has $300 in his cashier, in his pocket. He's an Naaman guy, and somebody deposited $200 and somebody $100. And guess what? They argue. Funnily enough, Reuven says, "I'm the one who deposited 200," and Shimon says, "No, I'm the 200." So each one has $100 for sure, and the Shmone Shlishi, the third $100, is the point of dispute. What do we say over there? We don't say achloiku. We don't say kol dalim bar, whoever fights it out. We say, children, I confiscate it. Your children fight, I take it away. Ad yemunachat shiover liyohu. It will be set aside until Yonovi comes. Nobody will enjoy it. It will be in Beth Din account until forever, until the outcome hopefully tomorrow. So then what do we say? Why? Why do we have the third solution? Says Tosfos going initially like this. Over here, that's important to know. Could be that over here there are 3 options. What did really happen in the street in our Mishnah? What happened before they came to Beth Din? One of 3 options. Only Reuven, Shimon is a liar. Only Shimon, Reuven is a liar. Or maybe they picked it together and they didn't realize egocentrically, each one looked at his own corner and didn't know that the other one also picked half, or maybe they're lying. So either 1, 2, or half. So here the solution of splitting can be emes. It can be maybe true that it's half Reuven's, half Shimon, as we see with Dan and Sadi. But the third money, it cannot be true. We're not going to split the third money to 2 halves, 150, 50 and 50. Why? Because there's for sure a liar. Everybody knows. Imagine yourself a modern day bank account. You and your wife make the same kind of salary, 2022. And let's say there's a fight between you, Chas v'Shalom, yeah? There's 1,000 shekel that came into the account, and you don't know if it's Reuven or Leah. We don't know, but it's either him or her. That's for sure. They don't do it together. They have 2 different smartphones. So what? I mean, Mela, what? So one person deposited the 100. So not 2. Then you can't split it because the Ramai, there's a liar here. We can't have the liar being Marviach, and therefore over there. On the other hand, why don't we say fight it out? No. Fight it out is only when they have no chazaka, like the boat at the end of the town. But here they both have chazaka, because Levi is like the hand of both of them. It's as if they both hold it, through the hands of Levi. He's our shliach. So that case, it's the worst case scenario. They both have tfisa. They're already into it. We can't go back into the jungle into do what you want. They're holding it through Levi. They're both owners of the account. Plus, there's for sure a liar. So you can't just elegantly split it. Over there, we say, and the Sikkum will come today. Oh, what happens with the other 200 is Machloikis of Yosef and Rabbanu later on. Yeah, do we say each one gets his 100, or do we say that will be discussed? Shkoyach, thank you very much. Beautiful. Welcome back, Jason. So nice to see you back with our ranks. And thank you, Matisse, for joining us.